And hello, everybody. I thought I was prepared. I wasn't quite as prepared as I thought I was.
It's all right.
Hello, Seraphim, Seraphim Hyde, Amiga Nuts, here to shill for everyone except me. Math Pig, Critical Cripple, and everyone who is watching in the future. Today on Media Musings, we're talking about the expanded universe because the people who really want to talk about Disney couldn't make the later time that I had to set because of a last-minute errand that came up. So we're going to be talking about why, it's only blue milk if it's from the blue region of Tatooine.
Oh wow!
Now, we're talking about we're talking about the expanded universe, not the European Union.
Yes, we don't want to comment on that because that's not going to cause issues at all.
Yeah.
You can comment about it after I've left.
Yeah. And hello to a bit of tea in Danish.
Hi, Linda. Hi, Amiga Nuts.
Yeah.
I was about to say, nice.
I was just saying, we get into the EU to make a big pig's breakfast of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So what does that make Badger? Bernard.
Yeah. What do I think about what? Who? When? Where?
Sorry. We were just on a stream of Hissy and going over some Yes Minister. So
we've decided you're Bernard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So hopefully things won't get too Zani while we're talking about the expanded universe. For those
tab then.
Yeah. And
hi, Donna and Morton.
And I'll let those I'll let those of you who got that pun just groan to yourselves about it.
Already done that.
Yeah.
So what are we starting with?
By the way, blue milk is blue because it comes from Banthas.
Oh, that's right.
That's
I can remember why. Why would you drink the milk?
I mean, that kind of makes sense because they're the only real, mammalian livestock species shown on Tatooine.
Well, there's nerfs, but there aren't many nerfs on Tatooine. I don't think the climate is favourable for them.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps we will actually establish what the expanded universe is, and what actually counts as part of it.
I don't want to talk over everyone.
Yeah,
well,
you're the expert.
I don't know where people fall on this because on
their sword mostly.
Yeah, normally, but. Really, I suppose this come out as especially started as media outside the original 3 films.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now, whether
Then
you
it be-
consider some of the like TV things or whatever that came from that to between sort
Like
of 1977 and
the stupid fucking
1990,
Christmas special
Yeah.
or the Ewok movies.
or the Ewok and Droid cartoons.
it
I
became
don't. Would
anything
that
that
be
is not.
considered expanded universe or not? I mean, me
It-
personally, I date it from like the. Me personally, I've always kind of dated it from the original Thrawn novels, but
It
I don't know
became
where
anything
people
that's
fall on
not
that.
really part of the main sort of the main media productions, like well, the films.
Yeah.
So
Including
anything
Disney.
from
Jen,
Yeah, don't start.
Yeah.
Don't start.
no.
You can talk about the Empire of the Mouse.
Next
You know,
week.
plenty next week.
yeah, it became anything that's not
They will
part of
not
the
be named
mainstream
unless it's
media.
necessary, absolutely necessary in this stream.
But if you want to talk about the books and stuff written since that happened, someone else will need to take that bit.
Yeah.
But
Right. What was I going to say? My sort of area of interest is largely the books, although there's also comics. Games is also an area of my interest. There's books, games, there's comics, there's the old Clone Wars cartoon series before they did the CGI version, both of which are pretty good in many ways. And there's all kinds of there's tons of it.
Yeah.
Clone Wars.
Actually,
And in a way, that's kind of the problem with the expanded universe is there's tons of it, so there's so people who want to get into like the deeper lore don't know where to start.
here's a thing for you, Mr. Ring.
Yep.
This is just the books.
there's a lot of books.
Oh yeah.
And let me speed this up slightly.
Fuck.
Slightly more.
And how many of those have you read, Badger?
Not all of them.
Yeah.
How many of them contradict other ones?
Some of them.
Yeah.
Most of the contradictions until kind of most of the contradictions are quite small until really late 90s to the 2000s, at which point that's real world time I'm talking about. At which point some of the contradictions it was mostly because different authors mostly kept their own sort of domains. They established a little niche in the vast expanse of the Star Wars universe for themselves. And that was their thing that they wrote. And they didn't write in other people's ballpark so they didn't contradict each other. But then once certain things happened, like when the Clone Wars appeared, for example, that contradicted a whole range of book series, which that caused a minor schism. Because you'll have the people like me who will look at the episodes of the Clone Wars involving Mandalorians going, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
And then you find the people who had watched the Clone Wars first reading those books going, hang on, this doesn't feel right.
Well, I mean, honestly, we could talk about the stuff in the EU that pisses us off or that contradicts itself all fucking day. How about we talk about the stuff that we really care about? Like, I brought my 3 favorite comic book series.
I'm all for that idea.
The Qui-Gon one, which is fucking amazing. The Sons of Dathomir one, which is Darth Maul, and the Vader one. Like, I think a good place to start is the comics if you're looking to expand your Star Wars universe. Badger, which comic book series do you like the best?
I think that's probably a good idea. And I don't mean this in any derogatory sense, because the comics are easy to get into because they're a visual medium. You don't need to. You can just
It's not
look
just
at it.
that. There's so much lore in it too, though.
There is,
Yeah.
there is, but because it's a visual medium, you don't have to, you don't have to invest hours in reading before you can be invested. You can just look at the cover and go, "Oh, that's Qui-Gon. He's swinging his saber. That's awesome."
Yeah, it's a lot quicker and easier to read read a trade or a graphic novel than it is to read a novella.
I mean, that being said,
And you're asking me what my favorite comic is, and I can't remember what it's called.
No, that's the problem.
That's not fair.
I can't remember the names of any of them.
You don't have any of them with you, Jen?
I don't. I actually don't have any of the comics I had anymore. So no.
Oh, we
I
have.
read-
Whilst I enjoyed reading them, I didn't keep them. I handed them on. So it's been a while since I've read them. So
So
One that I found quite interesting
before we get too deep into this, I'm going to pull quite the hat trick.
Oh,
I'm going to get Badger to admit that certain comics published by Marvel are actually canon.
well, which ones are you talking about, Mr. Ring?
I'm talking about the ones that were released in the 70s.
oh,
Now, which ones? What story arcs are we talking about that were released in the 70s? Let me pull up the whole.
No, because in the in the late 70s, early 80s, Marvel published comic versions of the movies.
Oh yeah, I know the ones you mean.
Yeah, and then the
Green
rights
Darth Vader
moved to
held on
Dark
the cover for
Horse,
some reason.
and then the purchase happened, and the rights moved back, and the publishing rights moved back to Marvel. So technically, there are Marvel Star Wars comics that Badger would acknowledge as canon.
Perhaps. the thing with some of the really early expanded universe stuff is, and also the same actually with some of the stuff that links in with the prequel films, is it was made as not follow-ons. It was made as oh, my brain has exploded. What is the thing where you do things where you do a thing that links with the other medium that is just being released?
Promotional.
Yeah, let's go with that. I can't think of the word I want. They were made kind of with promotion of the films in mind. So they were things that followed the plot of the films, but they were made before the films were done editing.
Yeah.
So like the ones that followed along with the plot of The Phantom Menace, for example, whereas on in the film, Qui-Gon jumps up onto the ship and they fly away. In the comics, Qui-Gon jumps onto the ship, followed by Darth Maul, and they have another little exchange on the ramp before they fly away.
Yeah. Well, more lightsaber battles against Maul is always better.
I was actually going to ask that. As part of the EU, we have the fact that Darth Maul survives being cut in half by Obi-Wan, because in the Clone Wars, he's in some cave with fucking robot spider legs or whatever, and then the witches bring him back and restore him and whatever. How do we feel about that? Because it's kind of ridiculous in a sense, because he was fucking cut in half and thrown down a shaft, but at the same time, it is Darth Maul. And the storyline that you have in the Clone Wars is fucking amazing, especially, the last few episodes that they just had. Like I said, last week they had the actual actor that played Darth Maul come and do motion capture for the fight scenes with Ahsoka. That was cool as fuck. And we wouldn't have had that if they hadn't have brought him back. So how do you feel about
I think he was brought back in the comics as well, not just in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. But still, the idea of bringing him back after he clearly kind of was dead.
The thing about that though is, it's not so ridiculous, because look at Vader.
Yeah.
Is it more ridiculous that Maul was brought back when he was cut slightly further up? You know?
Slightly.
Vader-
It was like fucking right under the ribs.
Because I think it was waist level.
Yeah.
So you could ask the question though.
Plus, he's an alien, so you don't know where his anatomy is. So
Well, yeah.
You could ask the question: Can Darth Maul
that's
do
sort of what I thought too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like about at waist level, and that's not an instantly fatal wound, especially if you're being cut with something like a lightsaber, which would cauterize it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Given current medical things, it's completely silly. But given Star Wars
But
medical things,
it's not like they found him and put him back together and helped him. He ended up, I can't remember what planet he ended up on, but he ended up alone in a cave somewhere and fixing himself and going fucking nuts in the process.
he did, yeah.
Also, awesome storyline. Fucking
Yeah.
crazy spider legs ball. That shit's nuts, but it's good.
Well,
Spider-Man.
and I think there was like a story about Darth Vader that's and I think it is pre Marvel buyout, where Darth Vader got like trapped in a cave in and basically just sustained himself off his hatred and like off the Force.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's also other expanded universe examples before Maul was a thing. I think. Let me just check the date of that. When was this released? Yeah, before Darth Maul was a thing. Another guy was cut in half. A chap called Maul. He's a weird orange-looking guy, and he had a repulsor lift attached to his lower body, so he could float around.
yeah.
Really?
That's in the Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 game.
Yeah,
And
so
associated comics and
there's
books.
precedents within the expanded universe of people surviving horror, especially Jedi surviving horrific injuries. So I don't necessarily see the problem with Maul. I mean,
I think that was released.
no, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
I think that was released 2 years before the Phantom Menace was starting to appear.
Can I ask people then? I mean, what's their sort of favourite sort of I don't know, either period or storyline from the expanded universe? I mean, I'm obviously I've only sort of in the last few months or whatever started to delve into some of like the stuff from like set like thousands of years before. I'm about to start going for like the Revan stuff, which I've been told. I mean, I've only got a cursory idea of who Revan is, but I've been told that that's something I really need to read.
Mm-hmm.
But things like like the Old Republic stuff, and like, I'll just say for example, like some of my favorite things to read was the Darth Bane trilogy, which is expanded universe. I was a big fan of that, and I'm sure people I want to debate the rule of two at some point, but but yeah, what are sort of people's favorite sort of periods in this expanded universe?
My first in reading books from the expanded universe was Heir to the Empire. And I quite enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously partial to I mean, I love the older stuff, learning about the really old Sith Lords, but Clone Wars partial to only because of Angel, and we just got so into it. Like, he knows all the clones' names and all the battles, and we've watched the series a few times, so I'm just partial to that because of him. So,
but
well, I can tell you my favorite book series,
Okay.
the Republic Commando series, now on screen.
Oh yeah, I
yes.
know you like that.
Yes, I love
You've
the
mentioned that a few
Republic
times.
And I agree with you about Clone Wars, Amanda. I've got to finish watching them though, because I still haven't finished. So
And of course, since since Godless Scummer brought up Darth Bane,
Uh-oh.
I had to share this again.
awesome.
Well, that's
I
good.
put a link in our private chat.
What's wrong with Darth Bane?
The link in
Darth
the
Bane
private chat
instituted the rules
is
Yeah.
is the only remix that I would have actually enjoyed Lucas ever doing to Star Wars as far as fixing stuff. And that is a re-edit of the lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader as in The New Hope. And it's absolutely brilliant and brilliantly put together, and it shows the anger that Vader has towards him at that point. And I really like it.
If anyone hasn't seen that, by the way, I would love to do a reaction video to it on my channel at some point.
Well, I've seen it, but I would certainly come on though.
I would guess that everyone has at this point, but if not, I'd love to do a reaction with you. So don't watch it yet if you haven't seen it, because we'll do a thing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then I
put
will
it in the
play
private
because
chat.
I haven't seen it.
Well, there you go. I have seen it. It's brilliant. So
But
you
if
have seen it, Badger?
I have, yeah. If
I
you
have.
haven't seen it yet, we can do a whole thing later on.
Sounds fun.
What was I gonna? Yeah, my other sort of favorite eras are a bit before the Clone Wars. I also like during the Clone Wars, but particularly after Return of the Jedi, in sort of the New Republic era. There's all kinds of some books in that era.
Oh,
You're finally getting trolled,
I've got Pastor's. I've got Atheist Pastor's boyfriend in the chat, or
Hey,
his creepy stalker lover.
Just so you know, Darth, I posted your love song to Atheist Pastor on my channel. You so deserve it.
As I mentioned, chap, if you fancy having a chat with, having a nice friendly discussion about that topic, email me, badger@cock.li. We can set it up.
Funny how this is an echo chamber when we're just literally talking about Star Wars.
Yeah,
we're not even talking about
Darth, mate. First of all, can I just say, as we are talking Star Wars, I think that the thing with us, right, is we probably will never reach a consensus about a lot of things regarding Star Wars. However, we will, I'm sure, agree that the fact that you are the worst Sith Lord ever.
Yeah,
right?
I'll be on that.
We will agree with that. You'd be
the one who, during the rule of two, you'd try to take on your master and he'd just throw you out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to be a part of the discussion in the chat,
you want to talk Star Wars stuff? I think. Actually, no. Hold on. This is Ring's channel. He should make this call here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Does he get to stay if he behaves himself and talks Star Wars? Does he get to stay? This is your call. This is your chat.
Well, see, the thing is, he doesn't accept the one true truth of the universe, which is the Force.
And the Disney's gone canon.
How about this?
We have countless books, movies, everything to support Star Wars being true, and you have won the LOL Bible.
I've got the sacred text Republic Commando books over there.
Yeah, sacred texts. So many sacred texts.
But
anyway, Jen.
So anyways,
So Darth, if you get to stay if you admit that Disney is non-canon. I think that's what Badger is saying. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not allowed on my channel because you were an asshole the last time you were there. So,
in like, as long as you don't start bringing up shit that doesn't have any, that as long as you don't start, as long as you don't stir up drama, you can sit in the chat and watch. I could use the view time. I'm a tiny channel. But if you do want to stir up drama or start any kind of debates about about religious views, this is not the stream you're looking for.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're giving him a chance, Ring. I like that.
Yeah.
I've put the stuff in the chat. So yeah, Star Wars.
Yeah.
What
Were
were
we?
we talking
We-
about? Favorite
So,
eras. That was the last thing.
Yes.
See, and here's where I show how woefully uneducated about the expanded universe I am. The most interaction I've had with it, aside from just picking up some of the deeper lore through osmosis, is I've read some of the Dark Horse comics, which I can't remember. I can't exactly remember which ones. And I've played through the campaigns in Battlefront.
Oh, we've all played Battle. Which one?
The PS2, 1 and 2.
But the
I've never played Battlefront 2.
The
I
older
had
one.
original Battlefront.
Yeah.
we have 1 and 2 of the newer ones, and we have the computer game of the older one, which Angel, the Battlefront 2 computer one from 2004 or 5. He insists is the best Star Wars game ever made. So
It's okay.
Yeah. I'm interested into in playing Knights of the Old Republic, but the thing is, will I ever have time to?
There's a new Star Wars tabletop game where you can actually buy all the miniatures and you get to do wars as troopers.
Ring. Mr.
Oh,
Ring.
so
Do it.
so basically, it's another Warhammer Money Sink clone, is what you're saying.
Yeah, more or less. But the miniatures are absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah.
anybody
Yeah,
played
that doesn't
Fallen Order at all?
I've seen some clips.
I don't play that many games. I think obviously on the PS2 I had the original Battlefront.
Yeah.
As games go, and I do kind of like the character in this is Force Unleashed. I do enjoy Galen Merrick as a character.
Force Unleashed game is. I mean, it's older, so it doesn't look as great, but the game itself and the playthrough is.
The playthrough is amazing, but even the story. I mean, I actually think Force Unleashed 2 was an inferior game in my opinion, but hey, that's subjective. But I just thought that original storyline of Force Unleashed, that quite tragic tale of Galen Merrick in a way, was a really good story.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna have to slap your boyfriend, Manda.
I saw that.
You're also gonna have to slap Dave.
Dave.
Well, Dave fucks with me with this shit all the time, so he knows how mad he gets me.
No. Ring. By the way,
Ring. You have the open world, which is fun to do, but with the new one with Fallen Order, it's an actual story that you have to go through, and I like that as well, being able to have something to follow. So.
And Dawkins, you've been warned. Keep it up, and we will time you out because you're just being annoying.
I put you in timeout. That's a warning. That is strike one.
How many strokes is he allowed?
One.
Baseball rule.
Yeah. So okay, he gets timed out again if he doesn't learn his lesson, and the third time he's gone.
Yep.
So,
but I'm watching. Yeah, I'm watching the chat.
Can I not just throw a very violent pitch directly at him if we're talking baseball?
Mr. Ring, I have some
Yeah, but
recommendations
no,
for you.
but
if you
if
like.
you hit him,
I'd
he
rather
gets
you
to
hit him with
walk.
the bat.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. If I hit him, he goes to first base. So, see, I know a little bit. I'm British, and I know a little bit about baseball.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of that little GIF where Darth Vader and the Stormtroopers are playing baseball to steer the conversation back to Star Wars.
That actually
Well, that's
just
kind of expanded universe, isn't it?
I have some recommendations if you like, Mr. Ring.
That actually I'm going to say that gift. It needs to be actually set to take me out to the ballpark.
No, it's take me out to the ball game.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah.
And it's a good thing we don't have a bionic dance on this stream.
Yeah, you gonna get slapped, nerdy.
Yeah.
Right, I got some recommendations if you like, Mr. Ring.
Oh. Yeah.
I thought you liked fantasy, nerdy. You're always talking about your fantasy.
Right.
Just the entire list.
Other than just saying read this. Hang on. Ooh, other than just saying read this.
Yeah.
Here are some specific ones.
Yeah.
Thrawn.
Yeah.
Thrawn trilogy.
Is that the original Thrawn trilogy or the one with the new one?
That's the original one.
Yeah.
Although Timothy Zahn has stated that he wrote the new one to be compatible with the original one.
I have to admit that obviously we're not mentioning that company, but that new Thrawn trilogy he wrote is something I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Then we have
I might get the new one and read it.
The second book's a little bit weak, but the first and the third one, I mean, it's enjoyable. The second book, but it's a bit weak.
These ones are pretty good. There's various trilogies of books that were released. This one's pretty good. This whole setup is pretty good. The Swarm War series.
Okay.
This
is that the one where Luke goes
here,
a bit dark? Is it?
Possibly. I can't give you any spoilers.
Is that the one where Luke has an evil clone?
Possibly.
Because
this here is a standalone book. It's pretty good. Tatooine Ghost. Anything in the Yuuzhan Vong War is pretty good.
Yeah.
Although some of them, one or two of them, go a little bit wonky in places.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Yuuzhan Vong stuff written by Zahn?
Some of it. I think.
Which is kind of a funny thing is I've read Timothy Zahn. I've read a lot of Timothy Zahn, and I like his writing. But the thing is, I haven't read any of his Star Wars stuff.
I would definitely suggest,
Also,
obviously,
here's Blue Milk.
I would definitely suggest both the original Thrawn trilogy and the new Thrawn trilogy. I know. Okay, I know. Okay, he's so I put it on air quotes canon now, but Thrawn was one of the Thrawn was one of the Badger. I'm trying not to, Badger. I'm not trying to start nothing here, but he is definitely one of my very favorite characters in the entire franchise. And whether it be both the new and the old trilogy. Now, a lot of that I think has a lot to do with the way Timothy Zahn wrote him, but I'm a little disappointed that Heir to the Empire and that original trilogy is a really, really good series, and I think it gives and Thrawn's an enemy. I think he's technically a villain, but there's a bit of depth to his character that was probably not really seen in the Star Wars series before before that.
I'll mention a quick thing about Thrawn just to get you enticed.
Yeah.
He has a very extensive art collection of species that he has completely driven to extinction.
Okay, that's
yeah.
Because he believes that if you understand the art of a culture, you can understand that culture through it and then learn how to destroy it.
Oh,
interesting.
I think this is perhaps one of the big differences in the way he. What if there is a difference to the way he's written in the newer books? Is perhaps he's a little more sympathetic, comes across a bit more sympathetic than he does in the others. But generally, he's kind of a character that it's he will use things like genocide if it's a must, but it's not his go-to sort of thing. He's always very just objective in the way he looks at everything. You know.
And to Darth Shill, if you aren't following, if you aren't following everyone that Darth Shill, also known as Dogmatics, has been chilling in the chat, then you are letting the Emperor Mouse win, and you're supposed to be, and this is the rebellion here, where we are rebelling against the Emperor Mickey.
So Badger, one of my favorite storylines from the expanded universe is the first Mandalorian Jedi who also created the Darksaber. Was his name?
I need to look up his name because I can't remember right
something
now.
Vizsla.
Oh, it'd be one of the visitors. Give me a sec while I remember which one, because I get them confused.
Tare. It's Tarre, I think. How do you say that?
Give me a second.
so the Darksaber is a Mandalorian thing.
Yes,
didn't
the
know that.
Darksaber is a Mandalorian thing.
But there's only one, and it was the first Mandalorian that was ever a Jedi that was brought into the Jedi Order was the one who created the Darksaber. But it goes down this line, like it ends up right now as we know it. It's with what's his face. If you consider the Mandalorian part of the universe, he has it now. What is
I'm going to go. I have to go there with this. So that is why they brought it into the Mandalorian TV show.
But he's not a Mandalorian.
I realized that he nicked it from somewhere. Obviously,
the thing with Darksaber is it kind of replaced the mask of the Mandalore as the thing that the Mandalore has at certain points. Although Mandalorian culture became a bit more fractured later on in Star Wars history, you have different factions who have their own different things. I see you, nerdy. You have different factions who follow kind of slightly different versions of the culture. One of the major ones kind of ended up replacing the original mask idea, which the mask of the Mandalore was passed down and used to indicate which person was now the head of that society. For one group, the Darksaber replaced the mask as the thing that was passed down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
But if I remember right, because I remember seeing like some of the like way old. I'm not talking about old as in our timeline. I'm talking about old as in Star Wars timeline.
Yeah.
Like stuff that's like thousands of years before the Republic. But if I remember right, the Sith are kind of like the Mandalorians in that they were a species before they became a creed. Became a creed.
Yes. There was an original Sith species. They were red and had tendril faces.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly.
So is the hint from that the Yoda species was the original Jedi species?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I figured it out. Okay, I looked it up. So what it was it was kept in the Jedi Temple and passed down through the Vizsla family line, and then Darth Maul killed one of the Vizslas and took the Darksaber, and that's how it ended up in the hands of the Sith.
I have certain issues with certain bits of continuity involved in that story arc, but it's a
I'm
pretty
just telling
fun
you what
story
it
arc.
says because I looked it up.
Yeah, I know. That's how it's done in the Clone Wars, and that bit was quite enjoyable, especially the duel between Maul and Vizsla. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So that would be the canon that Disney would be using for it to be in The Mandalorian now.
But I have certain issues with it because parts that story arc is linked to contradict the Republic Commando books, but that bit itself is pretty cool.
Because that's your Bible, isn't it, Badger?
Yeah.
The Republican Commando.
Yeah, kind of. I read them at a very formative time in my life.
Last year.
Well, I'll grant you it's a better Bible than the actual Bible, so.
Well, I did read them last year, but that wasn't the first
It was
time.
No, I find the
And,
Darksaber
Nerdy,
lore just fascinating.
Be careful. You don't want to be the first person other than Asshole 401 that
104.
I've timed out, or Asshole 101 that I've timed out.
Yes.
On top of that, badgers eat rodents, so you want to be careful there.
Also, yes, the canon expanded universe pre-Disney does contradict the Disney fan fiction. Now,
now,
Darksaber.
So what I remember about, and I'm not sure if this is, if this was even considered canon pre-Disney or not. I do remember something about like the original Jedi being from like this planet that was like super that had a lot of concentrated force energy on it, and they had to like stay in like perfect balance with the force or else it'd cause like hurricanes and shit.
Wait, is that the one with the has the ultimate evil and the ultimate good that are brother and sister?
I think so.
Yeah, and then because the father controls all of it, and he had the daughter who is the ultimate good, and is the of like the center of the good side of the force, but the son who is the center of the bad side of the force, and it keeps in order to keep balance, he has to keep them both there on that planet, and that's when Anakin actually finds out he's going to be Darth Vader. Because she ends up getting killed. The brother takes over the dark side, which takes over the whole universe for a little tiny bit. But he has that memory erased anyway. It doesn't matter. But interesting storyline.
Okay, yeah, this is something different because it like takes place like millennia, like millions of years.
Before. Yeah, but I think it's the same planet though. Because there's like that way for a long time.
Yeah, there's like one moon. Like if a Jedi if someone starts going to dark side, there's like this one moon that they send them to meditate on the light side and bring themselves back into balance. And then if it's the other way, there's this other moon that they get exiled to for a bit to bring themselves back into balance.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's like really weird, but I'm not sure how canonical it is because it has like the first lightsaber in it, but it's not attached to like one of those backpack battery things.
All right. Here's the thing with it. The Jedi Order, as it exists before the Empire and stuff, is it's fucking ancient. It's been around for millennia and has kind of conglomerated a whole different range of other force-using traditions within it. There was one that I think the thing you're talking about is the Jedi Order spelt funny, which was
Yeah.
on the planet Tython. Let me just check if that's the same planet as the other thing.
Yeah.
Damn, you got a good memory for this, Badger.
Yeah, it's spelled J sort of space D A
It's got
double
an
I.
apostrophe in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jedi.
Jedu.
I think
I'm
it's.
just
I
trying
think,
to
I'm
figure
not
out.
quite.
I'm not sure if it is the same planet. I'm just going to search for.
Yeah. Because it's the what's it called? Dawn of the Jedi, isn't it? It's a comic book.
Dawn of the Jedi.
Yeah. Oh, right. The father character is apparently from, according to his Wikipedia page, he is from unknown planet.
Unknown planet. Helpful.
So
They are-
thanks. That's helpful.
They're always from some unknown planet. They never tell you where they're from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like Yoda's from some unknown planet, and I think pre-Mandalorian there were actually only two characters of Yoda's species in, even in the expanding universe. It was like Yoda and then like a female, a female named Yaddle, and they were both Jedi Masters.
I can think of 3, and I can only name 2.
Yeah,
Without
there
looking it
is. I know there is another one.
There's an
but
Old Republic era
nobody can fucking remember. And it's not just that Yoda's from a planet we don't know. We don't know a goddamn thing about Yoda's species, and Lucas did that on purpose.
Yeah, and that's why everyone refers to the child as Baby Yoda, because we don't know what their species is called. We just call them Yodas.
We don't know. Yeah.
If it was Yoda and Yaddle's kid, though, it could be. You could call him Yodel.
Yodel. Or you could call him Yadder.
What's your name? Don't name him after a shitty British delivery firm.
Yada yada yada.
According,
Yodel.
If I want to get specific about it, there are apparently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members of Yoda's species known in the expanded universe. Although one of them is just called Unidentified Jedi.
Super helpful.
I mean, obviously, this is something we could probably get into a little bit more when the House of Mouse is covered. But
but name him Yeetle.
But yeah, this is kind of the thing with that series at the moment. We don't know what the child is. Is it a clone of Yoda? Is it just another member of the species? Is it an offspring or relative of Yoda? We don't know. I'm kind of good. It's kind of good that we got that mystery kind of going in a sense. But
considering Yoda's species is so rare, he would have had an exception because the Jedi, aren't supposed to father children or whatever, but they would have allowed him to because his species is so rare. And also that's something I never understood. I mean, if you want to have better Padawans, and younglings, why not have the Jedi breed? Because you think that the whole fucking
because they're against emotional attachment.
Well, I have a bit of a theory.
Okay.
Because I was kind of thinking about that during the week. Could possibly be a consent issue, because how can you be sure that someone is someone's consenting if you can directly manipulate their mind telepathically?
Well, then have just the Jedi fuck other Jedi then.
There's also a consent.
They wouldn't even need to do that. They've got technology to grow children outside, so they could just genetically put Jedis together without them even having to have sex.
But then there's a consent issue of taking the children, because that's a whole other thing.
Well, no, because if they're growing and then trained as younglings,
I'm talking about separate from that idea.
Oh,
that idea that idea, if I'm remembering correctly, they've tried to clone Jedi on numerous occasions, and it's almost always gone terribly because the Force, them being Force sensitive, makes the cloning procedure much more complicated, and they tend to go insane. The Empire
Well, we're not
series,
talking
for
about
example,
cloning, though. We're talking about getting the genetic material of 2 Jedis and growing a baby.
Oh, you're talking about
Either
test
through
tube.
surrogate or through...
I think we're talking about Krypton test tube Jedi babies.
Yeah, I'm bringing up cloning because I would imagine they would encounter the same problems, though I can't remember any instance where it's been tried.
Yeah, you've got to think it'd have to be in some book in the expanded universe.
Probably.
I
haven't read every book.
Yeah.
I know you haven't. I'm just saying it probably is there somewhere because it's an idea that would kind of make sense. You know, they're not supposed to have these emotional attachments and that, but this wouldn't rely on an emotional attachment. Although I failed it. If you've got Jedi who are constantly training younglings, they must get emotionally attached to these kids. I mean, Obi-Wan was emotionally attached to Anakin.
I was just about to say, look at Obi-Wan and Anakin attachment.
Qui-Gon
Look
and
at
Obi-Wan.
Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's attachment. Obi-Wan was devastated when he lost Qui-Gon. He was
these are parent figures.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the thing: is Force sensitivity hereditary? It
Definitely
seems to be.
It seems to be.
So that's the thing that this whole fucking like metachlorian thing kind of throws into disarray. You have the original trilogy where it seems like, you know, the Force is just something that, you know, some people are more sensitive to than others. But then if you add this, you know, genetic component to it, is it because does it come from your parents? You know, and is that why? And not to bring up shitty movies, but is that why Rey is so Force sensitive? Because her grandfather is Palpatine, you know?
Yeah, but that doesn't actually work because if you...
He's a clone.
He's a clone who wasn't Force sensitive, the grandpa. But ignoring that, those crap, there was, oh, what was I going to say? My brain's exploded. Come back. Oh, it is hereditary, but not exclusively.
Yeah.
It can manifest itself just randomly, essentially, and also the Force is not entirely a non. It's not. The Force has a will of its own.
Yeah, the Force is semi-conscious.
The Force is a whole thing, but it's not just. It's not just an energy that exists. It's also a force that takes its own actions.
I wonder if the Force...
could the Force be considered a god?
Oh, I think in context of Star Wars, it is.
Yeah, I kind of think it is in that context.
Or, you know, maybe in a pantheistic, like the Force is potentially the mind of the universe. And the Force is, the Force is the consciousness of the universe. Sort of way.
Copied it from Minbari.
You could look at it as being a kind of a deity as such, but there are also within the lore there are beings that exist outside the Force. And there are also species of non-sentient life forms that interact with the Force in very odd ways. Like the Ysilamari, for example, creates a bubble around itself where the Force has no influence because there are predators on its home planet that use the Force to hunt.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing in the Thrawn books.
Yeah, because don't they use them to like hunt Jedi and stuff?
They use the Force-sensitive hunter creatures to hunt Jedi, and they also use Ysilamari to contain Jedi.
Yeah.
Although a lot of the Jedi from the Old Republic just didn't go to that planet because it would be a bit stupid them going there.
Yeah.
But also,
Don't go there. It's a silly place.
yeah, but then Luke goes there, and while bumbling around the planet completely non-forcey because there's Ysamari all over the fucking place, he still uses his Jedi training and meditation and stuff in a non-force active way to just calm himself and just go, right, I'm a Jedi Master. That means I'm a serene and calm individual, and I can deal with this. I'm just going to keep going and then get off this planet.
Yeah. So, talking about the Force, and because my brain just draws parallels, it's what it does. It kind of reminds me of the pattern in a Wheel of Time. You know,
yeah, I haven't gotten into reading them, you know. Are you the only one in here that's actually read Wheel of Time? Ring?
I don't know. Am I?
Because I haven't.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into it. I found it too hard going with my dyslexia to actually read through the books.
Yeah. And
I know. Have you read them, Amanda?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Badger?
He said he'd be back in a second.
He said he'd be back and say,
There's
I
just
think you are the
so
only
much
person
to
who's...
wade through. There really is.
Yeah.
I think you have to
Yeah.
find, you find one series and you kind of get, you get into that one, but the Knights of the Old Republic was something that Angel and I read. We would read it before bed. We still, even now, he's 16. Whenever we pick up a new book, we will read it together, just because it's Star Wars and it's our thing. But there's just so many series and so many books, like Badger showed us. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Wheel of Time is like 24 books. Is that right now? And they're all like that thick.
Yeah, it's 20 books long if you don't count the prequel, and they're all about like a good 5 inches thick.
With tiny writing.
Yeah.
Oh, it was nightmarish trying to read it.
Yeah, luckily I started it right before I deployed. So
He's back. Have you read Wheel of Time, Badger?
Don't think I have.
Okay,
I would guess you are the only person in this stream who has.
Yeah, then I won't really dive into the parallels.
No, it's going to be pointless.
Yeah.
Can I just add though that fiction is awesome?
Yes.
Because we can have all of these stories with overlapping themes, and you can just go on for hours going, well, this is kind of like this. Oh, that's an interesting link. And then,
which is kind of the whole point of this this series is just pick a bit of fiction and then just talk about the themes.
If you decide to do a Wheel of Time one, though, I will tell I'll get my brother to come in and take my place for it, because he's read them all. He loves it. He's read them multiple times, so he knows it back to front. Sorry.
Also, don't the Yuuzhan Vong interact with the Force in a weird way as well?
Yeah, they exist outside it.
So they're not affected by it.
Not directly. If you're a Jedi fighting a Yuuzhan Vong warrior, you can't force push one over because they're not, they're not within the Force to be affected by it. But if I'm remembering this correctly, it's been a while since I've read these books. But
but you can use the Force for yourself to help you fight, though. Yeah,
and the one guy just picks up a discarded bit of debris and just starts throwing that around with the Force and stuff like that.
But it is after midnight here, so I'm going to love you all and leave you all and have a brilliant rest of your stream.
Okay.
All right. Love you all. Enjoy it. Don't go too crazy, Badger.
Say again?
Don't go too crazy, Badger. It's all right. We're not doing House of Mouse till next week.
It's too late for that. I'm already.
Why do you keep fucking bringing it up?
I've already lost it. I'm completely mental.
Yeah.
All right, love you all. Bye. Bye, everyone in the chat.
Bye.
But yes, Badger, quiet your mind.
You know I'm a Mandalorian, right?
But we don't want you going to the dark side.
You mean my side?
By the way, I was looking up unidentified Jedi, who is a member of Yoda's species. Actually, it's interesting where this unidentified Jedi is. It's just a face on the wall of the Valley of the Jedi on Rusan. So it could potentially just be one of the other 5 members of Yoda species, but carved into the wall. Or it could be a completely separate one.
Yeah.
And also talking about the Force, if I remember, and the Jedi, if I remember right, like in the real and the lore and stuff about the real early days is kind of what sticks to me because that's like what's really interesting to me. But we're, like before lightsabers were really a thing. Like didn't they just like use the Force to make their own handheld weapons like supernaturally strong?
Sort of. There are instances of Force imbued weapons like Sith swords, for example. If you play the Jedi Academy game, you encounter a Sith sword of ancient origin. The Jedi Academy game is set after Return of the Jedi, when Luke is doing his new Jedi Order. You play as a student of this new Jedi Order, and you encounter the ancients, the staff of Marka Ragnos, who's an ancient Sith Lord, and within the staff is the sword of Marka Ragnos.
Yeah, and I think there was like this one Jedi who kind of like almost kind of looked like a lobster, who had like a staff that he'd bolster with the Force and just fight with that.
There are.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's funny. I can see it.
Yeah. He just fought with this wooden quarterstaff, and he'd kick like other Jedi's asses with it, even though they had lightsabers.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see if I can find that. Nope, that's not it.
Yeah.
We're all so prepared for this. Like I said, there's just so much to wade through. Like, I don't know. I figured I'd be the Clone Wars expert. So
yeah, I think one of the rule of two, or no, actually, I think it was post Return of the Jedi Sith had like a light whip.
Really?
Yep,
yeah.
There's light whips.
There, see, it works, Sarah.
If you read the books set after Return of the Jedi, I can't remember which series it's in, but there's the Dark Lady of the Sith, Lumiya, who uses a light whip.
Yep, she's the one I was thinking of.
Right. Which bit have we got? I heard rule of 2 on the phone, but obviously I missed a few seconds.
Yeah.
Also, the Jedi make a light whip at one point in one of the books. The Kit Fisto and Obi-Wan use it on some random planet.
I love Kit Fisto, by the way.
I remember Giffany using a light whip.
Yeah, they have it on some planet, and there's a great character in that book. He's called, I think if I'm remembering his name correctly, he's called Dolb Snoil.
Dolb Snoil.
That is a name.
He's essentially a large sentient snail. If I'm remembering correctly, he's a lawyer.
What?
Shouldn't it be a snake?
Let me look
Shouldn't it be
it
a
up.
snake then?
Look this up. Oh, there he is. No, I think there's two O's in it. He might be Doolbsnoil.
I'm thinking if it's a lawyer, he should be a snake, really.
He is a Vipit, which is a cephalopod species from Ali. Yep, they're big snails.
Hold on.
So not only is he a big snail, he's got two separate brains. Let me just check I've got this right.
See, the way I got to admit, I'm not familiar with this character, Badger, so maybe I'm lacking a bit of context. But just the way you're describing him, it doesn't. I'm gonna say it's making a certain company who we won't mention look a little better the way you're describing this. Now, maybe I need the context to this a bit more.
You need to read the book; it's awesome.
He's
maybe
a
I'm
large
snail.
context.
He's got two brains, and when he goes to sleep, the brain during the process of dreaming for this species, the brains will kind of collaborate. So he needs when he goes to sleep, he tends to come up with stuff that you haven't thought of when he's awake.
But yeah, that was the guy I was thinking of. Vodosios Bask.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. Just fights with a force-imbued quarterstaff, which is just kind of badass.
So let me put the name in the chat.
Yeah. If you're talking about the guy I was talking about, it's Vodosios Bass or Boss.
Well, that's the thing about like the
soil.
Yeah.
With the expanded universe, you get to find like the best fighters and the best, duelists and the people that wield the force. Like when you go through just the movies and the main thing, they're cool characters and all, but the shit that you can wade through when you go into some of the comics and the books and stuff is really interesting.
And that like the downs like the best and worst thing about the expanded universe is the same thing. It's like the best thing is there's so much out there. But it's also the worst thing because people have trouble figuring out where the hell to start because there's so much out there.
Yeah.
Well, there's maybe a good thing maybe to ask people then. If people never got read or seen anything of the expanded universe, what is a good starting point?
Republic Commando.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't take much thought, Badger.
Yeah.
I've got some others, but I don't want to talk over everyone, so I'm going to shut up for a minute.
So, Amanda, what do you think? Best places to start with the expanded universe? Start
with the comics, especially the Dark Horse stuff. It seems to really mesh well together. There's a few different series that are very important. But start with the ones that first, like a Qui-Gon, like the Qui-Gon or the Darth Maul series, and then move on more to the stuff that's further back, that's like 1,000 years before, like the Old Republic stuff. It's imperative to learn about the Old Republic if you want to get an idea of how everything works, I think. So that's what I think.
As for me, so like I've said before, I haven't really read a lot of the expanded universe stuff, despite how knowledgeable I seem from all this bullshitting I've been doing. But basically everything I've picked up was from watching Star Wars lore videos on YouTube. Mostly.
Just here, come here for one question. Hold on. The question is, if you're going to, for the first time, go looking into the expanded universe, where would you start? Here, stop for a second.
Hey.
No, like which comics or which books?
Hey, there's a man who knows.
Angel, by the way, my son.
Yep.
So where would you start in the expanded universe if you really want to get into learning about Star Wars?
I'd say The Force Unleashed.
The Force Unleashed, like the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that it?
Well, no, that's part of it.
Good.
What's the best comic book series?
I don't know, Dathomir. That's canon. But Legends. I'd say anything Old Republic.
See, Old Republic. Told you. Thank you.
And I think I was just going to say, Angel, no, I did bring up Force Unleashed earlier, which is I think is a fantastic game, and I loved the story of that. So
Jeff brought it up earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was his contribution. It was really hard to get him up this morning, but
That's okay.
I think after Badger, he probably knows this stuff better than anybody I know. So
another thing with the Force Unleashed, I really enjoyed the crossover with the Soul Calibur series. it's just the Game of Merit just pops up in one of the Soul Calibur games. They're like, yep, I'm here for this sword as well for some reason.
Yeah. Also, doesn't Darth Vader pop up in the Soul Calibur games?
And Yoda.
Yeah, I think everyone pops up in the Soul Calibur games. Almost.
It's completely ridiculous, but it's hilarious. You're just playing Soul Calibur, and then it's just Vader comes strolling out, just like, I am here for the sword.
So, I will say, if there's one franchise that I'm glad that hasn't crossed over with Star Wars, it's the DC universe, because a Kryptonian Jedi would just be stupidly overpowered.
well, considering Warner's relationship with DC, I think you're on safe grounds right now.
Yeah.
So now, whether Spider-Man might turn up in the Star Wars, in any Star Wars universe, who's to say? I would hate it if it happens, or anything like if there's any Marvel Star Wars. I mean, okay, I know, as we said, Marvel did some.
Yeah.
This you brought up earlier, and which Marvel used to do back in the day. They used to do comic adaptations of a lot of films. That was a big thing they did back from the 70s and 80s and so on. But if they do that crossover, I am going to be, let's just say I'm probably going to be as hostile to a certain company as Badger might be. If not more so, if they fuck up Marvel on top of Star Wars.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yeah. Whole mess.
But though arguably, that being said, if any Marvel character could be a Jedi, I'd peg Peter Parker as being force sensitive. I mean, what would you call his Spidey sense other than being force sensitive?
Probably.
Oh.
But I just, that's a crossover I don't need to see.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of comic book crossovers that they might sound good on paper, but then when you see them, they're fucking awful. Like but back in the 90s, I heard Frank Miller was going to be offering a crossover between Batman and Spawn. I thought, this would be good. It's one of those shit comic books ever.
Though that being said, that could very well be a topic in and of itself.
Yeah.
I'm not
That
a
could-
big superhero fan, so let's keep my Star Wars separate from superhero
Yeah.
bullshit.
I
Sorry.
would agree with that as a sort of fan of the sort of Marvel and DC superheroes. I would
Yeah.
agree with that from the other perspective. But I love Star Wars as well. I'm not
See,
as
I like
big on
like
it
a
as
bit
you
of both.
guys, but
I like a bit of both, but I'm much more Star Wars than superhero, and they're not compatible.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, the Force sensitives, whether it be Jedi, Sith, whatever they are, superheroes and supervillains in their own right.
Sort of.
But
Yeah,
but
they
they
can't
don't really fit the conventions of the genre, and that's saying something, because that, the particular comic book superhero genre can fit quite a lot in it.
Yeah.
So, so if anyone from the House of Mouse is listening, do not fuck this up any more than you already have.
It's far too late for that. They've already
Yeah.
completely fucked it.
No.
No, it can
Badger,
always get
quick
worse,
question.
Badger.
they could do
Quick
worse.
question on your quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say the Star Wars galaxy is a separate galaxy or our galaxy?
Well,
It's our galaxy.
I'd argue it's a separate galaxy.
Now, it's the thing.
No,
Same
it's
galaxy,
our universe. Let me get that right.
Universe. I
It's a
see.
different
Yeah,
galaxy,
separate
but it's our
galaxy.
universe.
separate
That's what I meant.
galaxy, different universe, same universe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
different.
that's what I meant.
If you go with a long time
Say that
ago
five
in a
times.
galaxy far, far away, then it does imply it's the same universe. But
Yeah.
That's what I
far,
meant.
far away could be so far as a different fucking universe.
So, I mean,
However, weren't people from Earth in Star Wars at some point? Now,
No,
I don't know if
no.
that is
Not canonically.
Oh.
I don't know if that's the false canon that you don't acknowledge Badger, or I don't. Yeah,
or
I'm
I
not
think,
familiar with the
well, I
concept.
mean, even before the event, there were Star Wars stories that were non-canonical, and
Yes.
and like, for instance, since we are talking about crossovers, in an episode or an issue, in an issue of Star Wars Tales, there is a crossover between Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the
I
Millennium.
heard about that too.
Yeah, the Millennium Falcon crash lands on Earth. Han Solo gets killed by Native Americans, and Chewie lives on to become Bigfoot. And then Indiana Jones discovers the Millennium Falcon, or the ruins of it.
Yeah, Angel told me about that too. Crazy.
I think I'm sorry. I'm going to say the best crossover to me is Snatch in Star Wars. So that particular little video.
Oh yeah, that was funny too.
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen Vader Sessions? They take a load of James Earl Jones's lines from other films and put them into
Yeah.
So
I actually did like the parody they did with Stephen Fry as General Melchett from Blackadder,
Oh dear.
voicing over Darth Vader. That was quite funny.
He had Vader walking around the ship just going, "Daddy is the breadwinner," and stuff like that.
though I will say, my opinion, and of course, since we do have an astrophysicist in the stream, she can tell me how wrong I am. That the Star Wars galaxy could very well be the Milky Way galaxy, because a long time ago, because of celestial motion and stuff, our galaxy was far, far away.
Yes. with Redshift and the expansion of the universe. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue that. But I mean, they make it seem like it's the way they explain it. It makes it seem like it's a different galaxy. But you're not wrong. So I will agree with that.
I was going to read something up. Where was it? Oh, Yaddle.
Yeah.
Yaddle's kind of a tragic character.
You should have got Jen to ask Dr. John Croon about this last night. Really, if we'd thought about it.
It's okay. I'm,
No, Amanda, that's not a knock on you at all. Or that wasn't meant that way.
It was. That's okay.
Yeah. If it came across that way, that was not meant that way. Okay,
it's fine.
You're not.
I think that would have been an interesting. I just think that may have been an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Oh shit! And everything.
Let the hate flow through you. Good.
Let's just say that my chances of being taken on as Manda's apprentices have just gone down.
Well, I can do evil well, so maybe not.
Yeah. I'm too apologetic to do evil, I think.
Yeah.
Well, you can be apologetically evil, and I'm sure there's a Sith Lord that's managed it.
The great.
I've not put my Jar Jar avatar up once during this stream, so just so you were aware, I've been
the greatest betrayals always come from people you don't expect.
What was that line about the Sith always getting betrayed, and that's how the next Sith comes to power? I forget that, but it's how did they not figure this out after thousands of years?
Wasn't that a lot? I remember that line we mentioned earlier, Force Unleashed game with Galen Merrick when he's at that duel with Shark T, where he killed Shark T. And she said her last words was, "Poor boy, the Sith always betray each other in the end. So you'll find that out soon enough." Because Galen Merrick was very, very loyal to Vader at the time.
That's kind of the point of the Rule of Two, is that that is how you know it is time for there to be a new Sith Master, because once the apprentice has surpassed the Master, there's no point in the old Master hanging around. So
we've got to talk about the Rule of Two, actually.
Maul could have possibly, I don't know if Maul could have ever surpassed Palpatine, but Dooku couldn't. Dooku was a poor replacement for Maul. He really was.
Dooku was a stopgap measure for Palpatine, I think.
Yeah.
He had his eye on Anakin.
Since we are moving on to the Rule of Two, I'll go ahead and share my screen again. Because
Yes.
Well, what was I going to say? Dooku was just kind of, my fancy apprentice that I've spent the last 25 years or whatever training has died in, shit. Look, a handy former Jedi who's already fully trained and just needs a bit of poking to turn a bit more dark-sidey. Let's go with that.
Yeah. I think, especially since Palpatine probably already had his eyes on Anakin. Well, would have had his eyes on Anakin as soon as he knew who Anakin was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, obviously, when you look at the that era from like Plagueis on to obviously through to Palpatine or whatever, I think you see the flaw of the Rule of Two.
Yeah.
Because if you look at obviously the way it was introduced obviously by Darth Bane, and because he saw the problems with the way that they tried to form the Sith Order as a kind of a brotherhood. It's like it doesn't work that way. The dark side doesn't work that way. But also, because there was that constant infighting, in a way, what Darth Bane kind of came up with made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
There would be two of them. When the time was right, the apprentice would challenge the master. But I think it was almost in Darth Bane's ideology that, in his way of thinking, that it would be a straight up fight. Now, certainly when you get to Plagueis's time, at least, he killed his master through, just betrayal and treachery, like deception and treachery. And Palpatine did the same thing, which means you see the flaw with the Ruler too.
Ironic.
doesn't
He
necessarily
could
mean
save
that-
others from death, but not himself.
But it almost in a way is supposed to be, for lack of a better term, a fair fight in a sense to make the order stronger. The idea is that each apprentice is going to be stronger than their master going forwards to keep the
You
Sith
could argue that it is a fair
plan. So
You could argue that it's still a fair fight, but they're not just fighting in terms of their force and saber abilities. They're also fighting in terms of their cunning.
Yeah.
Once the apprentice becomes more cunning than the master and can plot and destroy them, then perhaps it's time for that to happen.
Yeah. And
it's kind of the whole, misunderstanding about evolution or about survival of the fittest. Fittest doesn't necessarily mean physically strongest.
Best adapted, really.
Yeah.
But none of Palpatine's apprentices ever seemed like they could have been able to overpower him at any point. Do you think he purposefully chose his apprentices in that way so that he would stay in power forever and never be defeated?
And Anakin, had he not obviously been so gravely injured, probably could have.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be had there. But you got to also remember with Palpatine and even with Plagueis before that, they both saw themselves as the culmination of the Ruler too. Once the Sith had taken control of the galaxy, the Ruler 2 had served its purpose. That was the whole. That was the part. That was the whole thing. Darth Bane put into practices. Even if it doesn't, even if it takes many, many hundreds of years after my death, we've put a grand plan in order to take over the galaxy, slowly but surely. And obviously, both Plagueis and Palpatine saw themselves as the culmination of the Ruler 2 in a lot of ways. So that Palpatine would keep his apprentices a little bit weaker than himself. I mean, now you could argue had Anakin not gotten, cut up to shreds from Mustafar, that there's a chance he would have surpassed Palpatine and been a genuine threat to him. But Plagueis as well. Plagueis saw. His vision was, this is the culmination of the Ruler 2. Palpatine will be the Emperor, whatever. I'll be working in the background behind Palpatine.
Yeah, you kind of had the idea of Palpatine being a puppet emperor as such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then if I remember right, like after Jedi, someone tried to remake the Sith Order without the Rule 2, and then there was like the massive infighting, and it didn't work, or it was like a really, really shitty Sith.
Yeah, there was
Order.
a new Sith Empire. Give me a second.
Once again, YouTube Star Wars lore videos. That's literally how I know what I know.
Yeah, Star Wars Reading Club is a very good channel, by the way. I definitely
Star Wars Theory. We watch a lot of that.
There's some brilliant channels on YouTube that go into Star Wars lore and theory and stuff. So Star Wars Reading Club's just a personal favorite of mine. But
here we are. There's Darth Crate.
Darth Crate.
Yeah, Darth Crate. Yes.
I'm just trying to find some of his.
Nerdy, please don't write fan fiction in the chat.
You can't stop Nerdy's fan fiction. You just can't.
Oh, I can for 300 seconds at a time.
I don't
So-
think Badger saw that, did he?
No, I saw it. I was just trying to look up Darth Crate. I'm just trying to find a specific Sith Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, Darth Talon. That's who I'm thinking of.
There's just so many of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Darth Talon is the Twi'lek one who also has the Sith tattoos similar to Maul's. She is a bright red Twi'lek with tattoos all over.
I thought it was always pronounced Twi'lek.
It depends who you ask.
Yeah, I know what Twi'lek too. So
Yeah, I've heard it said both ways. This is the problem with a lot of the words only being written and never actually spoken directly in any of the things.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem with the Mandalorian language as well, is that it mostly only exists in written form.
yeah,
Yeah. And I mean that's kind of the problem Lord of the Rings had up until Peter Jackson made his movies. Is while there was something of a pronunciation guide in the appendices, a lot of the Elvish words were just written.
Mm. There's a
The only thing I know in Lord of the Rings language is Burzum, which means darkness.
there's a language that Angel Angel knows it, but you can't speak it. You can only write the letters. It's an Old Republic language. I can't remember what it's called, but it's really, he likes to write stuff out with that. It looks really cool. Can't remember what it's called, though. But there's no way to pronounce it because nobody knows how to pronounce it anymore. They just have the actual writing still.
Although you do hear Mandoa in the Old Republic spoken once or twice. You also hear it once or twice in the Clone Wars, I think, although I think they pronounce a couple of words a bit funny.
Yeah.
And Seraphim, if you are enjoying the Nerd Speak, then definitely tune in every week.
Let me just.
We're not nerds.
Hang on, let me just. We're not nerds at all. No, let me just get my Mandoa to English dictionary. Right.
That's okay. I know some Dothraki too, so.
But
change it up a
actually,
little.
Scummer, you do know another Elvish word.
I know some of the dragon
probably.
language from.
Probably. Yeah. But I'm into like black metal, and I know there was a lot of shit they borrowed from bands borrowed from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I just mentioned Burzum because that I hate, even though I hate that band, and mainly because the guy in it is he's a fucking racist asshole. But that's like one of the famous ones. So.
But yeah, my shirt says sarcasm, just one of my many talents. Yeah.
I'm just trying to find a particular phrase in Mandoa here. Oh, this one. This is a good one. Let me just figure out how you're supposed to pronounce it, because there is a pronunciation guide in the dictionary, but it's done both in how it's written and phonetically. And the phonetic, if you try to read the phonetic thing, it sounds funny until you put it all together.
Yeah.
So it would be Ori Boucher a cake of Veed, which translates to all helmet, no head. That's one of my favorite ones. There's another Mandalorian insult, which is his brain cell is lonely.
Nice. But we're getting at about an hour and a half. So does anyone have any like final points that they want to make?
Read the Republic Commander books.
Watch Clone Wars.
Read the Darth Bane trilogy. Personal favorite.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have
good
like a lot of recommendations for you as well afterwards.
Yeah.
like
Read,
a lot.
read Lego. Watch Lego Star Wars. Is that it, Badger?
Yeah, actually,
Lego
Lego
Star Wars
Lego
is
Star Wars
fun.
is it's a good game. They're enjoyable.
Yeah,
But
it's better than some other like overpriced toy related sort of children's
it's
company.
fun, and it's not that hard. So people like me can actually. I got through the whole game on the DS. Very proud of myself. So
Yeah.
There we go. Lego Star Wars should be canon. We're agreed.
Not quite, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a lot of recommendations for you. Just read all of them, like right now.
Well, I've got to finish Les Miserables Les Miserables by
Miserables.
Bastille Day because we're doing a Les Mis media musings around
Are you
Bastille
reading
Day.
it or watching
What?
the movie? Reading it or watching the movie?
Reading it. I've
Reading
seen the movie and I saw it and I saw it live. So I'm finishing the trifecta.
You're reading Les Miserables, eh?
And then right around that time, Peace Talks is coming out, which is the latest Dresden Files book. And Dresden Files is the one book series where I drop everything to read it.
Cool.
So
Outstanding. By the way, can I just point out that for the purposes of this discussion, I think my nerd brain is kind of showing a little bit. Let me just show you this. Where is it?
Yeah.
So this is the reference material I have open for the purposes of this stream rather than some science related stream. So we've got just look at these tabs here. We've got
yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
Well, my takeaway from this is this: Badger, when this lockdown's over, get out some more.
I'll get out in the Star Wars universe. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm thinking after I finish Peace Talks, I'll probably pick up either Thrawn or the Yuuzhan Vong War.
Yeah,
Start reading those.
I recommend.
They're good. They're good. They are good.
Get both of those.
Thrawn would be just me personally, be the thing I'd go to first. But
yeah.
Also, the Corellian insurrection is interesting.
I mean,
So
I
there's
don't have. Yeah, I mean, just so people, because I work outdoors a lot of the time. I don't have a lot of the books here. I listen to a lot of them on Audible, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I have quite a few of the Star Wars books on Audible.
And you know this recommendation is genuine because we are hashtag not sponsored.
Well, who would we be sponsored by? That lot? No.
Hashtag Disney can kiss our ass.
Well, no, I said that because you brought up Audible, and they tend to sponsor a lot of videos.
Yeah.
Oh, Ring.
We're not sponsored by Audible, but if you saw your way fit to sponsor us, we might have a talk.
While I was looking up the list of all the Star Wars expanded universe, just the books for the purposes of this stream, I've had a plan for a while that I would like to own all of the books and read them. But then I went to this page, and I think that might be more of an undertaking than I originally thought.
Yeah.
just like
if you win the lottery. Especially since there's probably at least a couple that are out of print and super expensive,
Yeah,
collector's
probably.
items. Just a rough guess based off statistics.
It's possible. Although I've recently got a friend of mine reading through the Republic Commando books, and we do like a weekly game of a steampunk game, and every time we do this game, I ask him, "How's the books doing?" And yeah, he's just about to get to the bit of Republic Commando Order 66 where Order 66 happens.
Ooh.
And he's reading all the build up to it, just going, "Oh no, oh no, oh no."
Yeah.
I'm here. I don't want to give him any spoilers, but yes, sorry. If he's anything like me, he's going to be emotionally ruined after reading it.
But
I was properly depressed for like a day after I finished that book.
okay, so basically stock up on wholesomeness, but before you read Order 66.
Yes, it's much the same reason for the Clone Wars series getting to Order 66 is going to be a whole thing, and yeah, because I say gonna because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, but anyways, so I think that about wraps it up. So, Mama Atheist, go ahead and chill yourself.
I have Chris Shelton on tonight at 9 Eastern Standard Time on my channel.
Go and watch it.
That should be good, by the way. Chris is always good, so that would be worth watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it TV time or something else?
No, it's Living Critically, which I usually do with Atheist Pastor, but he just hasn't been able to the past few weeks. So it's my first interview alone, like doing by myself with somebody. But Chris and I get along really well. We talk really well, so
yeah.
I think it'll go okay. We'll see.
That reminds me, I should appear on other people's channels more.
Yeah, you need to come do TV time with me, Ray.
Yeah.
I need to watch season 2 and 3 of Jessica Jones.
Yeah, I need to rewatch it anyway, so it's fine.
Let the television flow through you.
I've watched all 3 seasons of that, but I'm saving myself because obviously myself and Chris Shelton hopefully at some point in the future are going to do The Wire.
Yeah, we're doing The Wire. So.
Yeah, we just that's in the future. That's going to be happening.
Yeah,
it's a good show.
So, 9 tonight. Watch tune into Amanda's channel. Watch her interview Chris Shelton. I'll probably have to catch it later because I'll probably be asleep.
Asleep. That's fine.
Night shifts are awesome. Scummer.
Okay, I got on my channel, Godless Scummer. As you know, I've been doing a bit of a collaboration over the past month or so with Your Better Half Ring.
Yep.
Where we've been going through the Asterix books for a bit of just a bit of lightheartedness and so on. I haven't got anything necessarily coming up in the next week or so on my channel. I've got a couple of little projects I'm researching at the moment, but I don't want to say what they are until I've had a chance to really do a bit of a deep dive.
Yeah.
So,
okay, cool.
One of them you'll like, Manda, but I'll tell you off screen. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah,
and Badger.
Hello, I am BadTemperedBadger. I talk about Star Wars and occasionally other things on the internet. You can find me on YouTube, BitChute, Gab, Minds, and Pornhub. And if you would like to come on my channel for a chat, you can email me at my amazing email address of badger@cock.li. I do have a couple of projects coming up at the moment. I have a couple of nature videos that should be going live in the next week. I have some more story readings which I have to record first, but I know which stories I'm planning to do. I just haven't actually done them. And I'm hoping to have some of these fine people over to my channel at some point soon to do a reaction video to some stuff.
And we definitely need to schedule that chat that I'm gonna have
yes.
with you on your channel sometime.
Yeah, all of us need to schedule that apparently.
Yes.
It's up to you. You need to do a Badger.
I think
I manage the schedule on my own channel.
I think myself and Jen are the only people that actually have been on Badger's channel.
Yes, I've had some other people on, just not for a while, because I was just about to get it going, and then my PC died, and then I kind of lost all my momentum for doing it.
We had Jen and I were on there. We had a bit of a reaction to video Badger did, where he was reading some.
Oh yes.
A love story between a Viking and a certain apologist.
One of the best days of my life. I give it my full seal of approval. In fact, I have an autographed copy on my desk at Dinosaur Adventureland.
By the way, if someone wants to do some fan fiction, just because I had to endure it through it last night, maybe a love story between the great debate tag team that was on last night of Nathan Thompson and G-Man.
Oh dear.
Yeah, why were you up watching that? I don't know why you did that to yourself.
Because I fucking Amanda, I think we've established this ourselves. I have a very big self-loathing problem and self-harm problem. I
know it's feeling.
Well, so currently, I'm doing Media Musings every Sunday morning. If I get, if I get the energy to, I will be going back to the weekly edited videos. It's just I'm an essential worker, and I'm in one of the few industries that's actually booming during this pandemic. So
Yes.
After I've gotten off work, I've been essentially going straight to bed and just sleeping until I have to wake up for work again. Next edited video is going to be titled "How D&D Disproves God." It's not clickbait at all.
You sure?
You should title that "How DD Disproves God" and see if he turns up in the chat again.
Yeah. In fact, I will be. I'm putting together a little demonstration / experiment for it. But it's basically talking about how alignment, like the implementation of the alignment system, is an argument against an absolute ingrained morality.
Wow.
Very cool. Yeah, I've got some volunteers to help me with the experiment and / demonstration, and I just need to get it put together. And as always, on Saturdays, I'm on the Daily Atheist channel running the Atheist D&D game, and this Saturday we're going to be dealing with some piracy.
Ooh.
Because the party decided that they want to steal a ship.
They offer the ship peace.
Yeah. But aside from that, I don't really have much in the word works because, like I said, essential worker, booming business, exhaustion. Next week you will have to miss out on you'll have to unfortunately miss seeing Badger's wonderfully pixelated face, because we are talking about
Don't mention it. Don't mention it, Bree.
we are talking about the tyranny of Darth Mickey.
Yes.
If you'd like me to do so, Mr. Ring, I can come on for like a minute and just rant about how it's terrible and then go.
Oh,
Badger, it would take you way more than a minute.
I've already got I've got an idea that I'm gonna run by you after we finish this off.
Standing.
See, I'm personally, I'm not going to say poo-poo everything that the House of Mouse has done. There are massive issues, but there are some things that I think are redeeming as well. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah. So now comes to the point where we do taglines. So Manda.
Think critically.
Scummer.
Don't be a wank, puffin, and salute.
Badger.
I should have come up with one. Oh, I could do a Mandalorian one.
We're not waiting for you, Badger.
Here we go.
Don't look shit up.
You must do what you
I'm
feel is
doing
right.
the line. Mandoad.
This is the way. You
Which
fuckface.
translates to a Mandalorian never forgets.
And remember, indoctrination is a hell of a drug.
Bye.